This is going to be a fascinating audio, and it's going to be to stimulate your mind for a little bit. I'm going to talk about a very easy topic, but it's very known from in all the adult world. And in this Neo, I am going to help you out with the majority of this subject, according to the title that you are relating to. But before I get to that, I'm going to answer an emailer who asked me a simple question, and I'm going to answer it in earnest. And the email is stated this way: Leon C. Big M, I appreciate all the work that you do for us. I'm very open-minded, even though I have a religious background. But I do have an honest question for you to help me understand things a little bit better. When it comes to religion, and in religion specifically the Bible, as you say sometimes, is it all right that the Bible is commonly used to relay a message? I've done my history and I've done my research, and I comprehend exactly what you are talking about on many occasions. Even though I don't want to accept the facts, it is a reality that we're going to have to get over if we're going to move on. But I notice that many people still use the Bible as a message, to relay a message to people. Is this okay? Or is this also a form of brainwashing from a book that is pretty much irrelevant to reality? And the initials here is CLM. All right. Very good. And that is a very good answer. Well, very good question. Look at me getting things twisted around. See, oftentimes you have to, this is something I'm going to teach you before I answer my emailer's question. The question, well, here we go. The question is usually the answer. You'll say, what do you mean, Morpheus? What do you mean? Listen, usually when you ask a question, it's going to be the answer, meaning eventually you're going to get the answer. Eventually, if it's not by the person you're speaking to, it's going to be done through time, through research, through being patient, through doing your own just diligence, or just simply asking a question. When you simply ask a question, that means you're open for change. That means you are open to learn, Neo. That means you have alleviated your brick wall. You have given yourself an opportunity to accept another option or an idea according to the ideas that you are already burdened with. So when you ask the question, the answer is going to be given to you. So I often have this principle that the question is the answer. The question is the answer. Because only an idiot do not ask questions. Only the mindless, only those who you will witness around your country will, let's just say, pull the trigger first and ask questions later. Only a mindless animal will live their life without questioning what they think they know. Okay, so usually when you are trying to get somewhere in life, and the moment you ask a question, you open up the door in the path to grow. You open up the door to seek out connections that are possibly there for you. You would wonder why this is an important thing. You would wonder why. Because oftentimes in your environment, in your generation today, there people don't want to ask questions anymore. They automatically assume by their programmed mindset. They automatically think something according to rumor, according to gossip, according to what the media says, according to what someone else says, what someone else say, and they don't take the time to go to the person or the source itself. You see? And therefore, they're walking around like mindless puppets. And therefore, they don't give themselves a time to advance or grow. And sadly, which is true, a lot of people really don't want to, because commonly, in order to build a group, in order to build a good fleet of mindless minions, okay, you have to walk in a path of equal interest. What that means is when you have a common enemy, when you have a common goal of some sort, it makes it easier for you to be in that path because you got a team of like-minded individuals. And oftentimes the average person that you may meet, according to their environment, according to how they was raised, according to their mindset, and according to if they are an individual thinker, or if they are one who walks with the herd or want to be in the in crowd, they love negative energy. They love negative. People love a juicy rumor. People love gossip. People love the schematics of destruction. Like when there's a wreck on the highway, or something of that nature where it almost seems as if someone was in a fatal crash, you'd often see people rubbernecking. You often see them trying to look out their window to see if they see something that they really don't want to see, that they really should not make themselves see. But oftentimes you see the cars all slow down because they want to see what's going on over there, because it's interesting to them. And also, yes, it involves them because they are humans and the same thing can happen to them as well. So I can understand that. But that same psychology is the same thing as when something dramatic is happening, when something is evil brewing within the families, within your team, within your friendships. And because it's so negative, it's interesting. Because it's drama, it's interesting. Because it's out of the normal. Because it's not kind. Because it's not your normal, everybody get along type of thing. So when everybody's not getting along, whenever there is distortion, whenever there is something bad to say about someone and spread it like wildfire, people are interested in it. People enjoy that. It becomes normal. And it's among certain people that do this type of thing. Yes, it's among certain people with this traditional trait, or you could say a genetic pattern, a natural genetic pattern that like to go around gossip like little chickens. But the ones who really advance, the ones who have a mind of their own, the one who are truly individuals, the ones who is proven to be the adult is the one who will walk up to you or to that book or to that source and figure it out for themselves. And usually they'll begin to realize that all it is in that group or that society or whatever that area is where the chuckling chickens are, mindless peons, okay, that they're all wrong, that they're just dramatic, that they love gossip, that they are just a cesspool of crabs pulling everyone down or anyone down should they try to advance out of the glass jar. And you will see that often. So that's why I say the question is the answer. Once you ask the question and not assume, okay, eventually you're going to get the answer and it's going to put you on a better path. So I had to be on that beat for a moment for some of you who may not get that. So getting back to answering his question. Okay, it's actually a very okay thing. I was going to say good thing. No, it was a very okay thing. Because every context of reality and life is used as a message. It don't matter what type of book it is. You can be reading a Mary Poppins book, a Goosebumps book, a Steven Spielberg book or movie, Okay, you can be watching a child's cartoon and you will get a message out of it, or you can use something, you can use it as a message to teach your environment. I myself, if you notice in some of my audios, I'm very good with that. Okay, I'm very good with taking clips and pieces and phrases and and skit lines from movies, cartoons, animations, people in real life to teach you, because you can relate to that, because maybe somewhere along the line you've watched that movie or you have seen that cartoon. Okay, or you know somebody else who have, or you just may do your just diligence, which I always direct you to do and suggest for you to do, is to go and find that movie or that cartoon or whatever that I suggest and look at what I'm talking about, so you can have a thorough experience and a realistic lesson that you can see face to face. So therefore, it doesn't mean that the Bible is not true based on the messages that are given to you from the Bible. Okay? It doesn't mean that it is particularly wrong to do so, that you're reading from something that not a lot of people believe in anymore. Believe, that word, belief. Okay, they know not to put their life and their energy on something that they never experienced, and it don't line up to the real world. It just simply do not line up to reality. Okay? But there are some passages in the Bible, in religion, in the Quran, in other books, in the Catholic, in the Catholic pages. Okay, there is some words of wisdom that can help you through your day. There is some functions that is justifiable that you can apply to your current world. So you can use that as a message to help you to convey to the people that you are trying to teach or talk to. Unfortunately, your pastors and your preachers, okay, is professionals at this, and they have to go to the training colleges and institutions to learn how to indoctrinate you, to the point where they're so good at stripping the Bible down or the religious pages down to convince you. They use that to convince you, to tell you that this thing is real based on their indoctrination. So you can use it yourself as a positive weapon to cut down lies and deception. And on the other side, you got those who actually take it 100% as true, because their indoctrinator is there doing exactly what we do. Use it for a message, but their message is for you to be tied down to the entire book, for you not to free your mind. So the answer to your question is, it's not a bad thing. If you're using the Bibles and the religious texts and papers to teach a class a lesson of sort, that's fine to do so, but it will be best not tell them. It will be best to tell them that you are not trying to get them to believe in the indoctrination that you're reading the pages from. You're just using it as a teaching mechanism. Okay? I normally do not ever do that, because I know that there's a thin line between doing that. Because if I read passages from the Quran, from the Bible, from the Catholic pages, okay, then people will begin to misunderstand the message. They'll begin to think that I am on that side. They'll begin to think that I am a, what you would call a Christian, okay, or a Muslim, or a Catholic, and the list goes on, a Buddhist. Okay. And I'd rather not do that. So therefore, I come up with realistic things outside of religion. I keep religion far away as possible, because I don't want you to be mind washed. My channel is your channel. This channel is not about religion. It's not about a belief system. It's about fact finding and empowerment and evolution. Okay. It's something, if you listen to all my audios, I'm always going to be talking about something that's going to concern you, where you can break the wire. It's not something to tether you to anything. I'm not telling you to sign up for anything. I'm not telling you to be a part of a cult. I'm not telling you that you need to be about something. I'm only telling you for you to be about yourself. And I'm giving you power and tools to cut the wires from your head, so you can leave the matrix. All right. Now, I expect that we have gotten this completely clear. And I'm glad that you emailed me that. And I think it probably may have helped someone out there in the world, should they be confused. Because you will meet a lot of people who will they will, what do you call that? They will quote scriptures from the Bible. They will quote scriptures from their religious texts. Okay, but you got to be forewarned that there are some people who do that to relay a message, but they are also all about that religion. Whereas you can understand the message in real time and it will make sense in your real world, but it can also pull you down and tether you to the religion and thinking that that religion is true and real. Therefore, it will bind you down. And that's how the churches work. That's how the gossip have worked for many years. That's how religion is so powerful, because in there is some truth. You see, there was some wise men at the time in the past days, okay, who wrote down things that are generally realistic according to your human nature. But around that, okay, is made up poetry, made up verses, made up ideas of other collected religions around the world, other collected ideas from other people, collaborated and not, stolen and not, okay, that turns out to be mythical and a false idea, because those pages aren't fulfilled. Those pages aren't real. What I mean is, those pages is not the real Shangri-La. The Bible and your religious texts, okay, they are only pieces. It's like this. And let's go a little further than that, okay? In the media, on the news channel, okay, they can't tell you the whole story. They will leave out things like timing, like place, like how it happened, when it happened. They can only tell you the outline of the situation. You understand? Like sometimes when I'm teaching you or speaking to you, I only have 30 minutes or an hour. Okay. And I cannot combine, because you notice there's 70 to almost 80 audios now. I can't combine all those audios into 30 minutes or an hour. Okay. So therefore, you will only get a piece of your evolution, in which it's only minor compared to the entire story. So when they are broadcasting you, like myself, news or something that happened, you're only going to get part of the story and the way that they put the media together, the artwork, the pictures in the background. They may flash certain things. They may show you people who are standing there talking in the microphone. Okay, but they won't tell you how they approached the person. What was the person's first impression of this news person walking through them with a microphone in their hands? And they won't tell you how many other people that they have spoken to through the day. All they'll show you is two or three people who was able to say something to validate the situation a lot more clear than the rest of the 8 or 9 other people who they cut out of the videotape. You understand? And then they'll make it short. Then what they would do is pick out key words and key expressions from what those people have said to promote the media or the news to give to you. And they can't do it all anyway, and they have to do it that way. Otherwise, you end up watching a 2 to 3 hour news broadcast that nobody has time for. Okay, so they have to cut it down. So that's the same as your biblical and your religious text. They can't tell it all, and most times they can't tell it all anyway, because they don't have the full text. They don't have the truth. They don't have everything that really happened, because should you get the full story, as to what happened, like gesture from age 1 to age 40, as they say like that, or the dark out ages, or the crusades, or the Apocrypha. Should you get everything that was cut out of the biblical text, you will realize it's just a story. You'll realize it's a ball of confusion. You'll realize that what you are reading is exactly what they did. They picked and chose what will be best for you to depend on as truth, which indeed it will mislead you because of that. So therefore, it's already been done. So I steer away from that because of that particular fact, because I don't want to mislead anyone. All right. And if you want evidence, look at the world today. If you want evidence, look at your country. Just simply ask yourself, if what you are reading or teaching or learning from, and you're saying that this particular context in your religion is true, then why do you have a shambling world if your God is so powerful? Okay, and I know that some people are, feeling kind of off about that. I know a lot of people don't like that expression. I know people feel very sensitive about that subject. But if I told you that I am God, okay, check this out. If I told you I am God and I have big hands and I am to protect your home, right? You ask Morpheus to protect your home, to protect your kids, to protect your family. And you're like, okay, here's my keys to my garage. Mr. Morpheus, my life is in your hands. Okay? And you leave the house and you're gone and you come back and there's all kind of war. There's all kind of distortion, right? You got baseball size holes in your window, right? The door's unlocked. Everything is in shambles. Okay, then what would that tell you? Then I'm not exactly who I said I was, and I'm not true, and I lied to you. And if you want to go further than that, we are selfish thinking people nowadays where we are so blinded, where we don't concern ourselves with other people. So because everybody else asked me to help them and their houses are in shambles now, but yours is the only one that's not in shambles, you will say, well, Morpheus helped me, so he must be true. Okay, when you should be thinking, wait a minute, why are you helping just me? Why don't you help them? You are supposed to be God. You are supposed to be the protector. You promise them as much as you promise me. And then what the pastor or my middleman will say to allow you to remain mind washed and mindless at the same time is say, well, maybe because those people sinned, or maybe because those people cursed, maybe because those people did wrong. That wasn't the initial contract to begin with. It was one thing and one thing only. I told you, in the words of the ministers, I didn't say it face to face. I didn't come to you and shake your hands. Okay. If I was God, I'm only being honest with you. Okay. Or God itself didn't come to you and shake your hands. The minister and the pastors did when you was 2 years old and up. They're the ones that laid hands on you and try to talk about anointing oil and how much of a sinner that you are and you're not. Okay, not God standing in front of you in the flesh. Get over that nonsense. Okay, so you'll go by the indoctrination and say, well, you said, Mr. whoever indoctrinator, that that Morpheus is able to do all this. So he's the salesman. He's my representative and I'm standing behind him. He's the one speaking for me. Or some people call them, I think it's ambassador or somebody like that of sorts, or an ambassador or something. And you say, wait a minute, you're supposed to be powerful. How come you didn't protect everybody else? When you have compassion for other people, when you have compassion for families and children, when you love everybody besides yourself, when you're not selfish, when you care about other people, when you see people suffering, it won't matter that you are okay. Your heart will pour out for them too. You will feel vulnerable for them. You will feel sorry or sad for them as well if their house is flooded. If a hurricane tears their house up, or if somebody robs them, or somebody hurt them, or if they get into a collision, you will relate to their pain. So therefore, you'll say, wait a minute, if you're so great, Morpheus, how come you didn't protect them too? Well, I'm just going to protect you. And you'll be like, wait a minute, what makes me so different than the rest of them? Okay. And then the pastor, minister, and indoctrination is there to decipher that, is there to deter you from getting the right answer. Because once you start asking that question, you're going to realize what you're believing in is not true. You're going to destroy it standing right there. So in order for them to protect their lie or their story, they have to put a Mickey in your drink before you even ask that question to say, well, everything happens for a reason. Maybe they made bad decisions. Maybe God chose them for that to be their time. And you'll be thinking, well, okay, that's their time. Where's my time at then? Not that you want it to happen, but you'll be thinking, what's so special about me? And if you are, here's another thing, the cognitive dissonance and the disrespect of nature goes so far as to where you would think the reason why it's passing you by is because you're a good person. Because God see you as a favor, because God has special hold over you. Okay. And you're walking around in a space bubble thinking that you're this one unique individual human being compared to everybody else who's losing their lives. That's selfish, it's mindless, and it's silly because you're no different than the rest of them. So therefore, that keeps you from asking questions, that keep you from being open-minded, and it keeps you from getting your answer because you don't ask the question. The moment you say, wait a minute, what's so different about them versus me? Then there you go. Now the door is open. Then you're able to see that what you think that you believe in and have faith about is not true. Because now you're really loving and caring about people with the true heart of a true God and a true concerned superior being that protects all life, all people, no matter what they look like, whether they're black, white, purple, skinny, poor, rich, or ugly. God, in its essence, will still look out for them and care about them as an equal, as your so-called church and indoctrination promises through the so-called ambassador or the representative who is misrepresenting the idea of what God really is. God is your mindset. As soon as you say, what's so different about me, and I'm concerned about them as well, just because I got food on my plate, that doesn't mean I'm going to sit back and allow everybody else to starve. The moment you say that, now you're on the vein of what God really is. Now you're opening up the door to the true universal God, and you're going to immediately destroy the gossip of religion. Immediately. Then you'll soon realize, okay, that's just mankind's idea of functioning in human earth, which that's what it is. That's what it is. It's books for you. It's not a book for gods. It's a book for humanity. That's why you will hear me say oftentimes, it's books of human control, a manual of human control. Like you go to your car, there's a manual there. Okay, there's a manual that tells you what you need to do, but this book is more inaccurate than the manual in the car. A manual in the car knows everything about you. Okay, specifically your genetics, your genes, your mindset, and your spirit. That's the spirit of the car, that is, to keep it going, the powertrain. But that manual is not based on you. It's based on mythical thinking. It's based on other people's attributes that's not here anymore and never will be. Okay? And it's not based on truth. So therefore, it's not according to your idea, because there's many people today who are still functioning. If you don't abide by the manual in your car, your truck, or your boat, or whatever like that, it's going to tear up. If you put the wrong oil in it, you don't know the specification, you don't know the powertrain mileage, you don't know when to change this and that, or the bolt torque level, okay, eventually you're going to lose your truck or your car. It's going to be gone eventually. But when you remove religion as the manual of human control, guess what? There are people who are still breathing and living now quite well. Okay? They are functioning in the blue. They are fine. They're not in the red. They're able to breathe, live, provide for their family, and they're a lot more healthier and smarter than what they ever used to be. So you tell me. You tell me. Because if it was the real manual of human control, then why aren't they, what do you call that? There's a word for that. Why aren't they dilapitating? Why aren't they receding from life? They're not. They are increasing into life. So that should tell you something as well. This is what I will always tell you. When the student appears and asks a question, the teacher will arrive immediately. And the teacher is nature and your common sense that we no longer have, because we love our invincible la la land. We love the rainbows. I'm not talking about the LGBT. I'm talking about rainbows in your mind. I'm talking about just walking around in a space bubble, lost. Okay? So, I know I was on that beat for a while, but I'm going to get to the heart of the message here as well. And this is according to relationships. And a lot of people are curious about this because I've talked about it before, and I did break it down in another audio, but I'm going to talk about the unconscious mind. And I use a word called synapses. And there are different definitions of synapses. But in this version of synapses, in my definition for this one, I'm going to mutate it and transform it in Morpheus's version just for now. I'm going to consider your synapses to be a black box in the back of your unconscious mind. And in that place is where your most valuable, most intimate, most important assets are, and your memories, which is most important to you, that will not come to fold ever. Okay, until it is triggered by outside influences. So therefore, you will have a memory of a thing. You will have a feeling for a thing. You will adore a thing. And what you would do unconsciously, because it's in your unconscious mind, some people call it subconsciousness, just like movies, just like, again, anything flashing before your face in a couple of seconds. All right. Or something that happened to you when you were a child that was fun, like going to the zoo. Or if you're scared of heights because somebody, one of your brothers or sisters or who knows, kept scaring you and pushing you over a balcony or something like that. Those things you may not remember immediately, but it's in your subconsciousness. You just don't think about it. You don't dive into it. You don't calculate it, nor is in your frontal lobe. It's not in your front mind. It's not in your focused conscious mind. Okay. So this black box is so important, where according to relationships, this is why it's no good for you to just go around dunking. And the chemistry and the biology is very important too. Men and women are different compared to this. Okay. Women are a little bit more sensitive on this matter because what I tell you about women, more science, more chemistry is involved in their genetics. Okay. Regardless of what your so-called scientists and doctors may tell you, women are a lot more chemically sensitive, a lot more emotionally sensitive. I didn't say weak. I said sensitive. That's a difference. That don't mean you're weak. Sometimes it's good to be sensitive because that means you are aware. Even sometimes women got a better sense of smell. That doesn't mean that you're weak. That means you are a little bit better, a lot more in tuned, like a fine-tuned piano or a guitar. That's not a bad thing. So what happens is the black box is a lot more tethered to your consciousness, or you can say be triggered a lot easier by anything that happens in your outside world because you're a lot more sensitive and chemically induced to such energy or locked away emotions. So therefore, when the donkey dunking comes, okay, there's going to be a different interfacing within a man versus a female on a normal basis. Whereas men might have potential, that's why they're made that way, to go around and seed maybe 50 women, in a matter of, who knows, I ain't going to give you the time limit there and give you an imagination. Whereas she will only have the ability to be seeded at least one time. Okay. But there's also reason why on a normal occasion, men have the ability, if he wanted to donkey dunk on a various occasion and get over that companion or mate or whoever that person is that they share that with, versus a female who would try to do that because there's more of a consequence for her because she's more sensitive, because her synapses black box, okay, does something else other than the man. Now, men encounter these issues too every now and then. Every now and then they have no ability to peer bond. They get bored. They want to keep going somewhere else. And even if he has this beautiful, outstanding, outrageously correct female, he will still jump over the fence because he doesn't have any control of himself. He doesn't have control over his libido. Okay. And therefore, that's a problem with his black box. That's a problem with his synapses because he wants to endure or experience that same sensation in his black box synapses that he don't know how to tap into, but he knows how to only by that same physical activity. So therefore he wants more. He's never satisfied. He has to have more. He's never satisfied. This beautiful girl standing there with bright eyes, she's 22 something years old, clean hair, almost near virtuous. I'm not going to say that she is, but she's at least a little bit of quality there and a little bit of potential to be something. Okay, but yet he will still go and find somebody else who's 32 or 44 or something like that, all because he wants that experience again and because this person's a new sensation. Because he wants to experience it all over again because he can't get enough because he's not adult enough. And he don't know himself yet. Usually you will encounter that women when men are at a younger age. Okay, between the ages, let's say 2019 and 27, 28 years old. And then by 28, 29, he's going to start to get a little bit serious and a little bit jealous and a lot more, interested in settling down to where he's not interested in other girls. Okay, he will be interested, but he will have more of control of his libido at that time to a degree and start judging you based on what you do. I'm just giving you the history, backdrop, and facts of the genetics and pattern here. But for the female, she can't do that because there's something else that's a lot more damaging that occurs. And I expressed this before, but I'm breaking it down in a different measure. Okay, that block box does something that is very crucial to the new encounter with a new person, which makes it difficult for her. Some of you are familiar with computers and how memory cards work, right? So I'm going to switch this synapses unconscious box. It's still going to be the black box, but we're going to call this a black box of memory. Okay? Nature have decided to play a funny game on women versus men. And for women, it's a struggle because like a memory card, for example, let's just say y'all familiar with a 16 gigabyte memory card, okay, versus the other memory cards that are available on the market. All right. So for the woman, let's just say the synapses, the black box, her black box is a 16 gigabyte memory capacity. Okay. We're not saying that she forgets based on her small memory. No, I'm not saying that she don't remember her childhood and things like that. No, I'm comparing this when it comes to virtue. I'm talking about donkey ducking here. I'm talking about when you are encountering a relationship. Okay, everything else is irrelevant in this matter. All right. So she has a 16 gigabyte card. The male on a usual normal basis have a 64 gigabyte card. Okay, that's nature. It's not Morpheus. Okay, the doctors didn't do that to a child when they were younger. It's nature itself based on the boy being male, based on her being female. Okay, get mad at you all you want to. You talk to God about that. Don't talk to Morpheus. Okay, you do your own prayers with that situation. Okay, that has nothing to do with me. So what happens is, okay, we got a thing that's tethered to virtue. Why virtue is important. Why is it important for her to have less of an experience than it is for her to have more of an experience of donkey dunking versus a man who has plenty of experience? Okay, that's the comparison between having a 16 gigabyte capacity versus a 64 gigabyte capacity, because the male, again, what I tell you beginning, he can go and impregnate 9 women in a matter of weeks. Okay, where that one woman can only get pregnant at least one time. You know, of course, on occasion, she may have twins or triplets or something of that nature. Okay, but it's still going to be at least that time for a 9-month period. Okay, that's just giving you the physical scientific evidence of that atmosphere, should you decide to twist your own thinking up. Okay, so if you have more evidence, you can rely on that one to tether you to what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, so getting to the deeper relationship problem is this. With a 16 gigabyte black box of her synapses that she has, okay, each time she has a encounter, a donkey dunk partner from the ages of, it's going to be fair, 19 on up, okay, it's going to write that memory on her synapses in the black box, in the black unconsciousness of her mind. Okay, and it continues to fill up over time, depending on her partners, depending on how long, depending on how long that partner stays with her. Here we go. Here we go. Sometimes there's a 14-year marriage. Sometimes there's a 5-year relationship. Sometimes there's a 1-year fling. Sometimes there's a one-night stand. You know, and depending on how heavy that man is a part of her world during that time, or what type of effects emotionally that he has on her. Okay, he takes up the massive amount of her memory unconsciousness. Okay, her memory synapses. Let's just call it a memory synapses. So he takes up a full part of her memory synapses. Okay, this is how scientifically, realistically, and fact-finding that we find a lot of girls who is emotionally attached to bad boys, or guys who are alpha rough, okay, are these guys who are really no good for her, but he's still there in her life, is because he made a great emotional impact on her life. He was a imprint on her memory that takes up almost all her memory card. Okay, you get that? Her memory synapses. So therefore, she will always be attached to him. Therefore, she will always run to him. Therefore, you may be the new guy, but she's going to be more interested in that guy that she used to come from, that her ex-boyfriend or her childhood friend or that blue beta dude who's always been in her world, but he has taken up the majority of her memory card. Okay, do you get this? All right. So therefore, you end up wondering when you with her for about a year or 2 years, she still have feelings for her ex-boyfriend, or she end up running with him, or she end up, what do you call that? Cheating, or jumping over the fence and being with him while you're not knowing about it, or becomes it becomes an affair that you are unsure about, but it's happening because he takes up the majority of her feelings, of her card. He's a major part of her life. This is how also, you want to tether this as well to being a good father for a daughter. Okay, when a father, listen, is a true father for his daughter, he also takes up a majority of her memory card. She's going to remember that personality. She's going to remember his ability, his fathership, his kindness, his love for her, him taking care of her, him being a good inspirator or an inspirer in her life. Okay, so this is how on many occasions women unconsciously we try to look for a man who's just like her father, because that's in her memory, and just like the motherboard of her mind and her consciousness, okay, being that of the other, what do you call it, the other motherboards, the other chips, the other programming of her computer, the mind being the motherboard and the central core itself is going to always tether that to what's the biggest memory that is going to be ascertained to her particular function, which will be the major part of her memory, which will be her father. If her father takes up the majority of her memory and he does right in her life, she's going to always try to compare whatever first interactions that she had with the outer world based on that particular memory storage. This is why it's very vital for a father and a mother to be in a child's life. And that's the same for the boy. He's no different when it comes to that. The more of an imprint and inspiration and involvement that you have in your child's life, it's going to take up a majority of their memory, or is going to make a very personal and important impression in that child's life, where it's going to be vital for them. So whatever memory that they have, whatever encounter that they may have, is going to be that based on their memory, and their mind is going to always go into the memory storage and find that out of the unconscious synapses, okay, and bring it to the consciousness. And let's go even further than that, because I don't want to lose you, because this goes deeper. This is technical, and it goes very deeper than this. Okay, so as her card begins to feel, if she is unconscious with herself, if she's uncareful with who she donkey dunks with, what guys come into her world, okay, what happens is she ends up having a full memory synapses. It's a full memory synapses, and then you meet this girl. Okay, she has all kind of interfaces before she met you. She have all kind of other memory integers that she will line you up against. This is why you have struggles with dating. This is why they have high expectation. This is why they expect for you to pay for everything. This is why they expect for you to deal with her in a certain matter, because she's used to other guys doing the same thing. Where? In her 16 gigabyte synapses. All right, so it's going to go there. So let's go even deeper. You're going to be surprised how deep this rabbit hole goes. You're going to be very surprised, but just hang tight. Okay, hang tight, right? So what ends up happening is when the car is completely full, okay, and if she's completely uncareful and she feels like, well, I want to be just like the man. You know, he goes around and he's able to date whoever he want to date without being married or committed, whatever the idea is. You know, you hear the famous singers and the famous rappers and these new type of women who's talking about, I can donkey dunk anytime I want to. I can abuse this dude as long as he's paying me. Give me some paper. Give me the paper. And I will do anything. You know, I'll bend over backwards and I'll display everything for you as long as you pay for it. Right. You know, so what happens is she ends up rewriting her card over and over again. So what ends up happening is you end up meeting a woman who has selective memory. Wait a minute. Here we go. Put on your goggles, because we are diving deep into this. Okay. So she ended up having selective memory. What happens is she have to erase what happened somewhere in the past. She got to forget about all the other guys and people that she jumped around with. that she donkey dunked with. Okay. And what ended up happening is she ends up not even caring at all that she has a very bad track record, that she, far and beyond virtuous at that point. And therefore you begin to have struggles with this girl, because not only is she interfacing with you with a full deck, okay, with an unconscious mind. Okay, the dangers about this is at this point, okay, the virtue is gone. She already filled up the 16 gigabyte card, the 16 gigabyte synapses. Okay, so now you're looking at somebody who can't peer bond with you. You're looking at somebody who is a struggle for you in your marriage. You're looking at somebody who's always going to say, I'm bored, or I'm not happy, or you're going to end up in a high maintenance situation where you're going to always have to pay for everything. You're going to always entertain her. You're going to always need a boat. You're going to always need a truck that's on stilts. You're going to always need a car that is the most popular, the most expensive, the most flashy. You're going to always have to have a very popular status. You're going to have to be most sought after by other women in order for her to see you, to look at you, to be interesting, because you are a new thing. All right. You are a new thing. But here is where the problem lies. Now you're getting deep into the ocean now. Now the pressure is on. This is where you might need a diving suit. Okay, before you get crushed down there with your human flesh. All right. What happens is there are certain triggers that you may say or you may do that is going to cause her to dig into her unconscious synapses with a 16 gigabyte card that is already full. Okay, I told you how sensitive she is and the sensations on the outside. Trigger words that you may say, or there may be some things that you will do that her exes used to do, and it's either going to turn her off or it's going to turn her on. It's going to make her fight or flight, or it's going to make her just ghost you. Okay. And I told you this about in another audio, and I talked about how it's not always a bad thing when a woman ghosts you and she leave. Okay. Sometimes that's a good thing, because you might have standards and you might have protocols, and you might be standing on a strong, masculine, red pill position, and she realized she can't take advantage of you. You got options. She cannot manipulate you. Okay, you got your own thing going on in your life. You're already busy. You got what do you call that? You got assets. You got other women that you can talk to and meet. Okay, she realized that she cannot defeat you. So because the game is so high and difficult for her to win, she will leave, because she realized she can't use her feminine powers against you. So just because she ghosts you, that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. Okay, sometimes it's actually a good thing. Okay, and again, I told you in the other audio, for blue pill beta guys who have no experience, all right, and they're walking around like Poindexter, don't know how to please her, don't know how to talk to her, don't know how to be the man that they are supposed to be in their physical form. Okay, some women who walk away from you is because you're not man enough. Okay, it's because she's walking away from somebody who's going to be insignificant in her life and cannot guide her anywhere. Okay, so she rather not waste her time. So that right there could be bad. And that's for those people who don't know how to be man enough to take care of their women. Okay, or to have standards. When you don't have, oftentimes too, when you don't have standards and you're not standing on anything, she will still ghost you and walk away, because she realized you don't have no standards or principles. So you as limp as a noodle. And she can realize that, what I say, in a matter of 20 minutes. So she'll say, you know what? You soft. I don't have time to be running over you. I ain't got time to be dealing with you. You a child. So she'll leave you while you standing there not knowing why. Oh, she ghosts me. All women are evil. No. It's because you ain't man enough. That's because you was raised wrong. You need to go back to your mom, go back to your mommy or your daddy. Okay. And be retaught all over again. Okay. Usually that is the case. And you messed up, not her. So let's get that straight. I don't want you to listen. I tell the truth. I don't want you to think, oh, it's always good because she ghosts me. That means I'm doing the right thing. No, that's not true. No, that's for real red pill alpha men who got their life together, who knows how to please a woman, who got options, got their life together. Okay. And they're not going to allow a woman to manipulate her. That's when she walks away from them, not you, blue pill. She walks away from you because you don't have nothing, not even yourself. Okay, get it straight. All right. However, when it comes to the triggers that's going to cause her to go into her synapses to come up with the memory, like what you do with a computer, when you ask a question or you put in something in the search box, it's going to try to figure out where it's at. Okay. When you say a certain thing, and if there's something that happened to her in her past relationships, okay, if there is an implementation by her father who wasn't a good father in her life, or who was blue pill as well, okay, it's going to cause her to look at you the same way and treat you in that same matter. So therefore, you'll have a problem with her. You'll end up arguing all the time. You'll wonder where these strange arguments are coming from. It's because there are triggers that are setting off her black box synapses, because it's there in her memory, because it wasn't wiped away, because it wasn't cleansed. She kept overwriting, kept overwriting, kept overwriting. Okay, so what happened was, again, she was triggered. So therefore, you end up in a divorce court. You end up with somebody who wants to slash your tires. You end up with some woman who's very angry, and you don't know why. Or one day she's happy, next day she's looking at you like you are Joker, and the other day she's looking at you like you are the worst. You're the world's worst enemy. She can't stand you. She hates you. You're a jerk. And then, of course, by the end of the weekend, she loves you again. Okay, she's going through phases because of what's going on in her memory card, because there are triggers that are triggering off her emotions, which are tethered to her memory. Emotions are tethered to her memory. Emotions are tethered to her memory. So when you are not careful and you are just going around, except, well, she's 36 years old, I think she's okay, even though she has 2 kids, you are dealing with somebody who has a very full memory card. So therefore, you're not going to be etched as something new. You're going to be etched as something that has been there the whole time. What happens is, if she doesn't here's the thing. When she really wants you to be in her life, she will erase memory to make space for you. Okay, but while you are there, she's still there with a full memory deck. And what happens is, you get in a situation where she will forget about all the bad mistakes she made in the past, or all these significant teachings that was done by righteous men. Okay. And she'll bridge that type of idea with you, where your arguments and your distortion will come from the fact that she can't remember what she did, 4 or 5 years ago, or she can't remember what she did last week, because the memory is being rewritten all over again. It's already full. She's a full plate. This is what you would say virtue is generally all about, even though you have other aspirations of it. This is another venture. This is another part of this. This is another branch to give you a deeper understanding of how this goes. Now, since you're sitting on the bottom of the ocean floor, with your swim dive suit and all, your swimsuit and everything on. Okay, you're that deep in this conversation. Okay. Whereas now you understanding how the distortion happens. Now you understanding why a little bit more of why it is vital for a man to find a woman who is virtuous, who has space for him, who has the memory, the space. And because what happens is this: being an emotional connection and sensitive to her emotions, sensitive to her chemistry, sensitive to her body. When she donkey dunks with an individual, with a person, okay, it's going to automatically go into the synapses box, in the black box, and she will forget about it and let it go. And if it's not you, it's several other men that have come before you. And that's where the danger comes from, because they have programmed this mindset that you are going to have to deal with today. They have programmed it, and therefore there is no new memory for you. There's no space for you, because if there was, here we go. Here is your rabbit peel. If it was, your arguments will be at a minimum. You won't have a trouble or a struggle with her, because she's accepting you as a new thing in her life. And now she's learning how to cooperate with you as you would do with any fresh computer coming straight out of the box. Because the memory is clean, and the only thing it's going to be focused on is what you put into that memory bank. What you put into her subconscious black synapses box, that I'm calling it for today. Okay, so therefore you won't have that much problem. Therefore you will have wife material. You will have somebody who respects you. You will have somebody who is tethered to you. You have somebody who is latched on to you. You have somebody who, when they look at the outside world and they function, they're going to be function in what you have set pace for. This is also an initiative and an important asset when you have principles, when you have options, when you are a man of your girth, when you are red pilled, when you're not going to allow a woman to tell you who you are and what to do in your relationship. When you're not going to allow yourself to be guided by your, what do you call that, by your tie being dragged around all over the place by a woman. You will initially have the ability to control yourself, to control the situation, to control the chaos, because it is in your hands. When it has been in everybody else's hands, that is the black box unconscious synapses of her mind. Okay, you're going to have to deal with all the energies and I'm not going to go too far, all the energies of other people. Now, this also tethers to another audio I told you about, where when you donkey dunk with somebody, you're sharing their energy. When you're with them, you're going to absorb their energy. Men can do this as well, but is a little bit more sensitive for women because they're tethered to this, because this is your genetics, because nature have decided to program you this way, not Morpheus and not anybody else, no mad scientist in a lab. So therefore, you end up embodying the energy of those blue pill beta men or red pill, I just want 30 minutes from you type of individuals or dudes. Even worse still, if you haphazard and you damage yourself. Okay, you damage yourself to the point where you can't peer bond because you allowed yourself to be full of other men's energy. So therefore, men, when you encounter these women, you are encountering the energy of another man. Did you hear what I just said? You are encountering the programming of someone else that have come before you. Do you understand? So therefore, your peer bonding becomes less. You have a struggle. And now, here is now you're actually, now that you're at the bottom of the ocean, you are steady at this point now. Now you're beginning to see things a lot more clear. Okay, and things are becoming more real for you. For those who have the ability to settle down with somebody who's been out there like that, who have fulfilled their card, okay, and they have rewritten the 16 gigabyte synapses black box over and over and over again. Okay, she's just looking for somebody who's going to accept that which is already done. So it's what do you call that? It's a buy here, pay here deal. It is a as is, you cannot return. There is no warranty. Okay, there is no powertrain warranty. You accept it as it is. It is a used product that's probably sitting on the pawn shop shelf that has been used by several other people's fingers and energy. So what ends up happening is when you are with this person, I told you this before, when it comes to high mileage vehicles, what you have is maintenance. And most times, all you are getting is the last remnants. It's like there's some computers and there's memory cards, stuff like that, where you can still use it, even though it's been refurbished and all that type of stuff, but it's still used. There's still a little life left. There's still a little life left. But, however, in order for you to get it to function properly, even more so, you got to clean it out. You know, you got to reprogram it. You got to erase all the memory. You got to do all kind of things to get this thing to operate almost as if it was brand new. So it takes a little time and a little initiative. But when you are with a woman, that's a totally different story. You can't do that because she's her own individual. She has her own mind and she controls herself. Okay, she is responsible for who she donkey dunked with in the past. She's responsible for what she allows to come in and out of her body. All right. So therefore, you can't do that like you do a computer. All you can do is stand on your principles. All you can do is be on a standard and stay on your grind. That's all you can do. And accept her for who she is. That's why they say that. Accept me for who I am. Just accept me for who I am. That's why they say that. Accept me for who I am. And then here you go, another thing. Well, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Here we go. We all make mistakes. Accept me for who I am. We all make mistakes. Yeah, I made mistakes in the past like that, but I'm over it now. I'm done with it now. I don't do those kind of thing anymore. So just love me for who I am and just accept me. Okay, this is just what it is. And if you don't like it, well, too bad. Somebody else is gonna like it. That's what you get. And then somebody's like, well, okay, I'll accept it, right? So what ends up happening is during the time you end up dealing with glitches, you will end up dealing with certain viruses, you will end up with certain worms, Okay, you end up with certain Trojans in your relationship. And not only Trojans when it comes to the infiltration of your system, meaning her relationship with you, but Trojans from outside people that already have their feeling. All right, you end up dealing with somebody who don't have the potential to stay with you because they're not made to anymore. They filled up their 16 gigabyte unconscious synapses box. Then every now and then she will get confused for you to be somebody that you are not, because whatever triggered her may be over. And here's another thing, maybe over drinking. Okay, drinking is another key that can trigger what's going on in that black synapses box for almost everyone. Not everyone, but almost everyone. Sometimes to get somebody to spill their guts, give them something to drink. Give them something to drink. You know, get them drunk. You know, get them some wine or something like that. Sit down, listen to them, say, let's talk. You know, this is why sometimes in corporate meetings, that's outside of your building. I'm not saying while you're working. Okay, I'm not saying that. Okay, when you are at a banquet, all right, when you are at a dinner or you are with a group of people, sometimes they say, well, let's break the ice. Get them something to drink. You know, let's give them a Long Island iced tea. I'm not promoting drinks. Okay, don't even go there. Okay, you know, give them something brown. You know, give them something light to drink. You know, give them something that's a little light, you know, on the rocks a little bit. You know, there's something with lime in it. Or for some women, get her a fruity drink. Give her something with some fruit in it. Make it fruity and sweet. Put a little vodka in it. Mix it up, you know, right? And, you know, let her have it and just sit back and listen. There will be all kind of triggers coming out of that synapses black box, because what happened is it'll go directly to the unconsciousness, because what happens is sometimes your conscious mind try to fight the unconscious mind. That's right. When you are in an indoctrinated system, program, or a systematic area, what happens is you are programmed by Agent Smith. This is why you are given certain programs on your TV. You're given certain programs by your preacher. You're given certain programs in psychology to actually make you lock out your unconscious synapses on purpose. On purpose, because what happens is that black box, your synapses, is being programmed at the time while your conscious mind is focusing on the programming of your everyday life, which isn't real. The programming of your everyday life isn't real at all, when you need to be focusing on what's being done to your black box, to your memory box back there. Okay, oftentimes we don't. So we program ourselves not to concentrate on that through what? Not meditating, not eating the right food. And here we go. Here is where you see this big shark underneath the ocean right now swimming around you, and you can see it. You can see it, but just stand still. It's not going to get you as long as you don't move and listen to me and stand by my side. It's not going to get you. Just sit here and be calm. It will pass you by. This is how it is done, through your instincts. When you don't have your instincts, when you're going by the programming in the books, when you are thinking about, oh, you know, the college said, the school said, the church said, the system said, you know, Webster Dictionary said, but yet you're standing there and you don't use your instincts. Okay, you deny your instincts by food, by nasty drugs, by bad behavior, by retarded music. Then you block out your instincts, and because you block out your instincts, you disabilitate, I can't find a word. You disable yourself. You disable yourself from being able to tap into your own subconscious black box synapses. And therefore, you are only standing there. You are absorbing information that you cannot get into. You're absorbing information from your outside world that you don't have the power to tap into. So you become nothing but a third species to your own first species self. That's right. So in doing so, you will have a nation, country, people, schoolyard, whatever else of automatons. You have people walking around like, what do I say before? Zombies. Because they don't realize what they're doing, because their unconsciousness synapses box is being programmed, right? And they can't even access their own memory banks back there. All right. This is how you have rage. This is how you have people who will go out of control immediately when something happens. This is how when you see somebody get in somebody's face, and instead of them walking away, or instead of them just, if you're going to fight, and I'm not promoting this. This is how when you experience on TV or something like that, when somebody's getting ready to fight each other, and it's going to happen no matter what, it's going to happen, right? Instead of them just boxing each other, where they both can live, somebody get a black eye, they get up, dust each other off, good day, walk away type of thing, you will see somebody want to pull out something else in their pocket. They want to go grab some steel instead and do the unnecessary in that particular time, because there's no control of them. They don't evaluate. They can't evaluate the situation immediately and say, well, this is a necessary act. This is how you see people who want to run somebody over with their car. And it's been on the news before in the past that there was a woman who found her boyfriend or husband cheating or something like that. And she got in the car, and yes, she did just that. And plowed him over twice. Okay, no instincts. Listen, no connection to their subconsciousness black box. Okay, their synapses back there, and not realizing that the whole time they're just disconnected with common sense. That's how common sense is destroyed today, because instincts come first before common sense. You got instincts, you start building common sense to become common for everyone. The common sense is to be focused on what you need and don't need to do in that particular situation. So therefore, instead of thinking, well, there's consequences to this, there's plenty other men out there in the world. He cheated. All right, I'm upset. I'm hurt. I'm going to drive away and find me somebody else. I'm going to live on. I want to live outside of the prison cell. She decided to do the unthinkable and run him over. And then all of a sudden, when you sit down in a prison cell, for most people, when you sit down in a prison cell for a long enough time, you are forced to think about your black box subconsciousness and say, why did I do that? You are forced to be smarter because you are forced to use your instincts now. Now you are forced, because why? You are forced to meditate. You are forced to give time to yourself. You are forced to sit down and concentrate on your behavior when you should have been doing that every day of your life. You should have been doing that when you are at home while you are busy. You should be doing that while you are at work. You should be doing that while you are at church. You should be doing that every moment of the day. Concentrate on what's going on in your subconscious synapses box. Concentrate on what you don't see with your physical eye. Concentrate on what the environment is not telling you. What I tell you about the news, that they can only say so much, you concentrate on what they're saying, but concentrate on what they are not saying. Concentrate on what people are not really telling you. Concentrate on what they are not trying to show you. And most times you'll begin to realize everything that is before you is just to distract you from not concentrating on what's actually being said. So therefore, when you don't practice those type of thoughts, I just gave you a tool there. Put this in your hands and hold it. This is what you need to use in those situations. So when you... That's how I teach. So hold on to that tool I gave you. I gave you something there. Hold on to it. Okay. When you don't use that as a measure every day to focus on your powers, on what's being said, what's being taught, and how you need to peruse to succeed in your relationships, then you don't have connections to your black box memory card synapses. So therefore, when you are with this person and you donkey dunk, or when you drink with this person, it's going to trigger what's going on in your subconscious mind, where they can't connect to it, but drugs will. Alcohol will. A bad word will. Something that happens in their family will. A death will. Yes, a death will. Okay? Or an uncle will, or an auntie will, a brother will. Something's going to trigger that subconsciousness, and here come all the anger, all the pain, all the sorrow, and this person will be a totally different person in front of you, and you'll be like, oh my God. You'll be sitting there like, oh my God. That's what you would say. You will say that. Or some of you would say, holy spigot. Holy spick. They'll transform right in front of you. Like, wow, what happened? Because all this is compiled in their 16 gigabyte memory card. That's right. This is absolutely correct. Okay. So therefore, when you don't look at it in this measure, you hurt yourself. You hurt yourself. And oftentimes, this is how nature is denatured. It's denatured because you have women who want to be like men. You can't transform your 16 gigabyte card to be 64 women. You can't do it. What you got to do is rewrite over and over again. And this is what happens to her. And I told you this in the audio. It's called selective hearing. I have an audio here's the title of it. Selective hearing is the end. I think I wrote it like that. Or selective hearing is the beginning of the end. And the reason why I said that is because I'm talking about the 16 gigabyte memory card. The reason why she has to, and it's no directive assault to you women. Don't get it wrong. This is a science project here, and it's a lesson that we need to comprehend. If you heard this differently, then take it this way differently. Okay, if you don't want to take it this differently, I can understand, because you all the way up there on the shores of the water, having fun in your space bubble while we are down here learning what life is really all about. You can go ahead and stay up there and flunk for the rest of your life. Okay, people here learn something. Okay, too bad for you. Okay, she has to rewrite her card in the selective hearing, because she has to have selective memory. She have to have selective memory and thinking and absorbing your information. She has to ignore you sometime because there's only so much space for you. There's only so much space for nonsense. There's only so much space. There's only so much time, even before she hits the wall, because she's going to hit the wall eventually. Okay, she can only be with so many guys. She can only take in so much. So she have to have selective hearing, selective memory. Okay, so therefore you end up in a struggle of saying, why can't you remember? Why are we arguing about this? Why are you doing these type of things? I don't understand. You said this last week, but you're doing something totally different. You told me one thing, but your physical body is doing something differently. Because she's going by the memory. She's going by the programming. Now, I didn't say the programming was bad or good. I did not tell you that, ladies or men. I didn't say it was bad or good. I said this turns out to be a bad situation when that memory card is full. When her black box synapses, unconscious mind is full. This is when chaos happens. This is beyond virtue. Virtue is when there is space. That means when the 16 gigabyte cards is maybe at 1%, 2%, 5%, okay? Or 15. Or for the best, 30% full, okay? You still got place and space to imprint a new experience, to implant something to learn and to gather. Now, here is another, and y'all get in the picture with that one, okay? So you fill it up. Now there's no more new experience. Now you have distortion, problem, and arguments, okay? Now, here's another thing, men. Okay. When her subconscious synapses is full of, again, the donkey dunk people that came into her life and distortions, stuff of that nature, not taking care of herself, tattoos, nose rings, hair coloring, the list goes on, okay, that shows you signs that she is full. Those are signs that she is full. Her memory card is full. Those are signs to start, it's showing wear and tear. There's tattoos. There's rings, there's all kind of piercings everywhere. She got those big circle earrings in her ear. Okay, there you go. Anytime you start damaging your body, that's because the inside's already done. Uh-oh, wait a minute. What'd you just say? When you start damaging writing, scribbling on your body, that's a sign that the inside is already done. Do you get this? Okay, get mad all you want to. Go to the church and talk to the pastor about your issue, not Morpheus. You did it to yourself. I didn't put the tattoos on you nor the earrings. You did it to yourself for some reason. I don't have that. I don't got tattoos and earring markings and stuff like that. Okay? I don't have it. So don't start pointing your finger at me. I don't got that. I don't have it. Hair coloring, no. Hair is not blue, black, brown, purple, no. I'm natural. All right? But here's another problem. And you'll think that we're going deeper, right? Like our feet is in the soil. We're already deep in the ocean, but how much more deeper it is? Now, you've seen a lot of sharks around you right now. There's several other sharks while you're sitting with the sharks. So just continue to be still, okay, and be calm and learn something. Right? when you come across women that say, I don't need you, I'm independent, I can do it all by myself. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Listen, are you getting what I'm saying? Are you following me? I hope you're following me. Well, I expect for you to be following me. Not hope. Hope is not in my dictionary. I expect that you understand what I'm saying. Okay, this goes all around the block. This is a complete tether here. Okay, it's a complete issue. When a woman say, I can do it all myself, I don't need you. Okay, that black box is full. The 16 gigabyte has no more space for you. You're done for. So she has limited time, limited, what do you call that? I lost the word. She have limited patience. She have limited ability to be fluid or functional for you. So whatever she decides to delete to make room for, to her, it has to be 100% priority. And oftentimes, as you noted, it's going to be a career that's going to take up all that space, or a boss, or an ex-lover, or it's going to be Instagram, or it's going to be what? Validation from who? Blue pill betas that who will not take up a majority, because they won't take a majority of a memory card. Because if you are red pill and you are a real man in her world, if you are looking for a full a foundational relationship that's going to go somewhere and it's going to be there for the rest of your life as you are promised in marriage, hello, then that means you are going to have to take up the majority of her memory card that she's already filled up. So what's going to happen? She's going to have to make sacrifices. She's going to have to make sacrifices. She's going to have to erase all those other priorities that she have left in her unconscious synapses black box and put you there. And a lot of them are not willing to do that because you are not a priority compared to everything else that she filled up her life with, such as the Instagram, such as the physical validation, such as the blue pill betas, such as the worthless men that are there in her life just for the midnight donkey dunking. Or in her sense, she thinks it's freedom, but she don't know that she's entrapped by her own subconscious mind. She don't know it. And she don't know that the very fact is you are more of a priority than they are, but they are just segments of her memory. They're just pointless segments, but you take up a majority because you are that important, because you are that valuable. You know, sometimes in video games, there's video games that you can download, right? Some of the best video games that are out there on the market, they take up a majority of the memory. They will take up, let's say, for example, on your phone, it may be 2 gigabytes because it's a great game. It's long, it's adventurous. It's it's an RPG. So it's like, wow, it takes up 2 gigabytes. But the cheaper, more insignificant games, like, this is a small card game. It might be like, like maybe 900 megabytes or something like that. Megabytes, not gigabytes, megabytes. Megabytes, okay, or you call it millibytes or something like that, whatever. What happens is in larger video games, like on consoles that you play, like PlayStation or Xbox or something like that, when it's a great game, if it's awesome, sometimes it's going to be like 50 gigabytes to download this thing onto your, like, wow, this is huge, like it's big, right? But the game is great. There's lots to do in the game. You can go online. You can do multiplayer shooter. It's taking up a lot of space because it has value to it on most occasions. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a garbage game, but most times it is. But the retarded games that it's just like trash. You get to 1 star. It's one of those games like, man, why did they even download it? Yeah, most times it's going to be like 16 gigabytes or less. It's not going to be that much. Maybe 12 gigabytes. All right, because it's not that valuable. So when you look at you as a red pill man with standards, values, and potential, and you're trying to steer America in the right direction and change the way that things are going downhill, you're going to take up a majority of the memory. That means she has to make a sacrifice. That means she has to say, you know what? Wow, this dude is, oh man, she has a 16 gigabyte memory there. And you're like, let's say, for example, let's say you're 10 gigabytes. That means she have to erase 10 gigabytes of nonsense in her world. That means she got to get rid of her Instagramming. That means she got to get rid of her false her false perception of reality. That means she has to change her idea of family relationships and focus on what the requirement is moving forward with you. That means she have to understand your world a lot larger than everything else that might be in her memory, in that black box synapses. So therefore, a lot of women don't know this. It's unconscious for them to do that, that they're not looking at you as a priority. They're not willing to put you in that spot because there are other priorities in their mind that is more greater than you. And again, the biggest thing is because she don't want to make that sacrifice. She doesn't want to make that sacrifice. And there's other women, her own mother and other family members that are around her who are promoting her not to make that sacrifice, even though it's good for her. Because all those other memory banks and problems that she's having in her 16 gigabyte synapses black box, okay, it's causing trouble for her because they're all partitioned. They're all defragged. Defrag means when you have memory that is scattered all over the place and it's worthless. Okay, you got particles of memory that's not functioning and it's useless to the system. So what you have to do is defrag it, or you gotta what do you call it? You gotta clean it and straighten it out. It's called fragmented. There we go. It's called fragmented, but you have to defrag it. Fragmented memories, fragmented worthless things that are going on that can be a problem in your relationship. That can be a problem with you. That can be a problem with your successful relationship and marriage with her that men don't find out till 15, 16, 12, 10 years later. Duh, right? No, duh, because she got fragmented mess in her 16 gigabyte black box synapses. Duh, really? Therefore, in order to straighten herself out, she would have to defrag, which is cleansing herself, concentrating, meditating, going to the gym, focusing on herself, her inner soul. That means she have to do more job. That means she have to get rid of the nonsense that's in her life. She got to cut off the useless, mindless, what do you call that? The pains that are insignificant. She has to learn how to forgive. She has to let go of the darkness in the past. She got to let go of who hurt her. She got to let go of false ideas. She got to let go of the false perceptions that her parents have put in her mind, or her single parent mother. She has to correct her thinking based on all the false information that people have given her. And what requires this, what changes in this, is her needing to have logic and sensibility. She would need to tap into logic and sensibility, okay, and be responsible and accountable for her actions. Therefore, going that phase will help defrag the fragmented memories and therefore make room for new memories and new sensations that can come into her world via you as the new man and your principles of trying to help America, or help the unity of family and help the idea of relationships as man and woman move forward and create a better tomorrow. That's what it requires. If you don't get what I just said, rewind it and understand it a little bit more clearly. So therefore, because they're not willing to make that sacrifice or be accountable for that, okay, they will say, well, I don't have time for you. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to keep moving forward, be progressive as and follow the directive of what's going on in the modern day thinking, which is not helping no one. So the card just continues to fill up, fill up, fill up, fill up, fill up. And here we go. Now, this is the finishing point. Now, what I want you to do is just hold these tools in your hand, because this is going to be it for you. This is it. You can't say Morpheus have never detailed this in the most extreme, most simple, most accurate, and a very simple way that you can understand if you know how computers and memory cards work. Okay? She can only rewrite so many times before she hit the wall. What is the wall? What is the wall? What is it when she gets to the point where her body, her mind, and her spirit can function like it used to? And no matter how many donkey dunking she gets, okay, she doesn't work as she used to, because now she's bored, and she's been there before. She's been with guys who went deeper than Mount Kilimanjaro, you know, and all you do is you pedal around the surface. Okay, and all you can do is pedal around the surface. If you go deep anyway, it's not going to work out, because she's been there and done that. She wore the goggles, she swam underneath, and she came back up. She said, oh yeah, I've been there. Oh well. Yeah, I've been on the boat rides. I've been taken around the world. Yeah, he brought me this. Yeah, he put a $35,000 ring on my finger, whatever this case may be, outlandish stuff like that. You come along and think you're going to be a captain hero. You think you come around, you're going to be a new sensation. You're going to be this fresh new experience. You're wrong. The card is done. She's done. Because what will happen is over time, when you in the court system, when you are trying to convey sense to your companion, which is her, okay, the card becomes corrupt, where it is unusable. That's right. That's right. She had been rewriting her space for so long instead of trying to be virtuous and defrag it. Instead of defragging her fragmented, useless memory, meaning stuff like not knowing how to forgive, not knowing how to straighten out a bad situation, not knowing how to just let go and be like, okay, well, that happened, I'm moving on type of idea as a mature person. Okay, she kept building up her unconscious black box synapses so much to fill it in with useless activities and things. Now it becomes corrupt. It's corrupt. You can't write nothing else on the card. There's nothing else you can do now. You cannot, she herself, she cannot add anything else to the black box synapses. She can't do it. So all she can do is go by the consciousness in every area of her life. When you deal with her, it's going to be a corrupt situation of anger, of bitterness, and arguments and fights. You want to know why? Because of the programming in her subconsciousness that she can't even tap into. Because what happens is she can't get into it. What did I tell you about those who don't have instincts, or those who erase their instincts and not derive themselves into common sense? You disconnect your ability of getting into your subconscious mind, which is tethered to the black box synapses. Now it's over. It's over. So therefore, she can't beer bond. All that's left is people who's going to accept her for the chaos and leave. It's just going to be dog food. It's going to be cats. It's going to be older ex-boyfriends that's just going to be there for about a few minutes and leave with no ring on the finger, or another desperate, used up 64 gigabyte dude. Okay, and there's plenty of them out there who've been blue pilled their whole life, who never learned a lesson as a young boy, who is interested in accepting the leftover of a catastrophe, because they are a catastrophe themselves. Their 64 gigabyte card is full, even though they had more space, they had more time, they had more ability to, again, date other women, get other women pregnant. The list goes on. Okay, men can do that, and to wipe away the memory and go forward, but he may not have to do that with so much space, right? But you'll be surprised that there's a few men out there who will go that far and destroy themselves, where now they're also corrupt and mindless at the same time, where, they at the door, there's still this blue pill, 54, 60-year-old dude, and mindless. He's a wino or something like that. He's this person that she can't respect. She don't like him. She don't want to be with him, but she don't have no choice. That's the leftovers. That's all they program themselves to be, because of so many years of not understanding and overstanding the lesson that Morpheus just taught you today. Now, I expect that you've learned something here, and I am going to, I'm going to swim with you up to the surface, back to the surface, now that the sharks have swam away from us. Okay? And you're going to see life differently now. Once you get onto the surface, you've met the bottom of the ocean here. You will not forget this place. And I expect that you put this in your conscious mind, out of your subconscious mind, and keep this in your vision. So you should be able to see things a lot more differently and in a different perspective. Okay? So let's go ahead and swim up to the top. And you can take off your swimsuit and go about your merry way and share your experience here. I know you liked it. You don't have to tell me. But let everybody know that you liked it by go ahead and put a like down there. And you should go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. You don't know my lessons or my classroom. You should do, though, because this isn't the last experience here. This happens all the time. I take you around the world, and you're going to have marvelous experience in learning aptitudes and accolades from Morpheus, who cares about you as Neo. Okay? And go ahead and check out my Patreon channel, as you should, so we can keep having the funds to go around in these wonderful journeys that we have. And check out that book I have available for you and practically everyone on Amazon, called 2020 America Rise or Fall Hard. I put that together from my hard-earned sweat, blood, and tears to make sure that we have a clear vision of the future should some people have a disabling habit of not having the ability to toggle their subconscious mind. Do that, and we will move forward together.